Hello, everyone. Welcome to the National Association of Realtors 2019 FPC GAD Hill Prep webinar. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Victoria Givens, and I run the Federal Political Coordinator program here at the Realtors. And with us today, we have folks from our esteemed lobbying team and communications department, as well as folks on the phone from our political director team and policy experts if you have any questions. Starting us off today, we are going to turn over to one of our senior lobbyists, Helen Devlin, to talk a little bit about the new way we are doing things and our new approach to Capitol Hill this year. One thing we'd like to go through logistics quickly is we are going to save questions until the very end. If you have questions, you can ask them in the chat feature, and we will address those at the end of the webinar. Thanks so much. And I'm going to turn it on over to Helen. Helen, thanks so much for being here.
All right, thank you, Victoria, and thanks everyone for coming up here next week. Thank you before you get here. We really appreciate it. It's really one of the things that sets us apart is that we have such an active and engaged membership that cares about our issues. As Victoria mentioned, we've done a lot of restructuring at NER. We've got a new approach to advocacy here in the DC office, as well as throughout the association. The biggest change that you'll probably see structurally wise is that we are stronger together. Government affairs and our community and political affairs shops are now one merged shop under advocacy. So we think this is a great way for us to really work together, collaborate more on what's going on in the states as well as what's going on Capitol Hill so that we can be more effective with our messages. We have a new leadership structure as well. Bill Malcasian, Chief Advocacy Officer, and then you see we have all the different divisions that are underneath Bill. Shannon McGann, our newest lobbyist. And then under Shannon, who is our Chief Lobbyist, as you know, we've combined the grassroots political representative organization. We've got our FPCs, Victoria, and the call for action activities, and all the lobbying teams. So we're all together. And we think it's a great way for us to communicate and really be much more cohesive in how we operate here in the DC office. And we'll look at the next slide there. So this right now is the state assignments for political representatives. So you can see where your state are. We've had some moving around. We've got some new faces this year that you are going to get to meet next week. But as you can see, we've adjusted kind of who handles who, what states this year, who can be your primary points of contact for all things you might need NAR related. On the next slide, you'll see who they are. Patrick and Drew and Kristen at the bottom there are all our newest people. They're wonderful. They've got great political backgrounds. They've already been traveling into your state, so hopefully you've met them. If not, you're going to see them front and center when you're here for the salons on Tuesday. We've also changed the way that we do our lobbying assignments. As you can see, we're doing a much more targeted approach. And the reason for that is we want to be organized in a way that much better fits the structure of Congress and the way that Congress is organized. Yet at the same time still have our state touch by being teamed, having a team of poll reps that work with the states as well. So as you can see, Joe Harris, and we have Sydney Barron. She's one of our newest lobbyists. She's originally from California and worked on several different state and federal campaigns before coming to us. We're thrilled to have her. On the Senate side, we have Vijay Yadlapati working for covering all Democratic senators. Vijay, his name might sound familiar to you. He worked in NER's commercial policy shop, and he's been part of all of our GSE development and policy stuff. So we're thrilled that he's now on the lobbying team with us covering Senate Democrats. And then on the Republican side, you have myself and Ryan Rustbolt. We will be covering all House Republicans. Ryan comes to us from the Financial Services Committee, one of our committees we work most on. He's worked for different members of the Republican Party over the years. We're just thrilled to have him with us. He's been a great team member. And then we have Colin Allen, who is going to be covering all Senate Republicans. So as you can see, it's definitely different from the way we've done this before with covering states. But we think it'll help us continue to work more closely with the way that Congress is structured. And we still will have our political reps who are assigned by state to be your key contact. Go to them for anything you might need, and they'll make sure the right lobbyist is working with you. In addition to our lobbying team this year, there's been lots of changes in Congress. Obviously, big election this past fall, big changes in the House of Representatives with new leadership, 110 new members of Congress throughout, that's senators and members in the House, unprecedented number of brand new staffers everywhere, and they're young, and they're a little overwhelmed. It's taken a while for Congress to get itself organized for a number of reasons. So we feel like this really presents us with a really good opportunity this year to not go to the Hill with a very hard legislative heavy ask of any kind, but instead really use this chance to educate the new members, to remind the seasoned members who realtors are, what we care about, how we impact the economy, really build on our new branding program to remind them of the valuable role that you all play in the economy and in your communities every day. So the three messages are up there now. They're going to be who we are, how we benefit consumers in the economy, and then last, what we care about. So the first one will be who we are. Now, when you come, Tyann is going to explain a little later. When you get here, you're going to have some fabulously new-looking paperwork, much different than what we've done before, but I think you're going to love it. And it's going to have a lot of great information like this, reminding members, who realtors are, how much you volunteer in your community, how you are registered to vote, that you do a lot to benefit other than just the buying and selling of real estate. And then the next point we're going to make is about how real estate and how realtors benefit the economy and consumers. Typical homeowners' wealth is estimated to reach about $254,000. That's far higher than any renters, for sure. 84% of people who are non-homeowners want to be a homeowner. It's clear people care about home ownership, and we need to remind Congress of the value that it applies. So when you come up here, we're going to have more stats that you can gladly share with your members. And this is a chance for you to really talk about the experiences you've had with the benefits of real estate in your communities, ways that it's maybe improved a community, ways that you've got personal stories about families that you've helped. This is really a chance to do all of those things, talk about what's going on at home.
And something that you might have seen on that other slide, folks, is we're really calling this our charm offensive. It's sort of the way to think about this entire approach to the Hill this year is really reintroducing the Hill to our brand and who we are as realtors. We're in the community. We're not just buying and selling houses, but we're doing much more than that, advocacy focused. And to Helen's point, you're telling your story around how home ownership matters and the value of home ownership to the U.S. economy in that charm offensive way that's really disarming and not trying to get you guys in any kind of pickle or put you in a rock and a hard place with any specific asks. However, so our information will have more data about what we care about. This is the realm of issues that we are tracking this year, and that's kind of how we want to present this to Congress. We want to let them know that there's 8 different issue areas that we're following. Like I said, Congress has been off to a little bit of a slow start as actually getting any substantive policy work done, but they are holding hearings and things like that. So these are the 8 different areas. When you meet with your member, you don't have to address all of them. But if there's one that you know that might matter to your member because of what committee he's on, let's say that your member is on the Transportation Committee. Well, infrastructure is something we're tracking and we want to be helpful with on this year. We think it's important to have an investment in that, in infrastructure. Flood insurance is something that matters to all members of Congress, and in fact there might be a little bit of activity. The deadline for that's coming up May 31st. So when you get here, when we meet with you all in the salons, we'll be able to point out to you any of these that actually have some activity that might be going on. Our intention is to be much more nimble and to be able to leave information with Congress that they can use for a while, but for our messages to be a little more timely. So if there is anything unique that we need to point out, we will definitely do that for you on Tuesday. One thing that you'll be able to do, you will see that in each of these slides that Helen's going through, we're linking to the e-packet. All of your talking points are now live on your e-packet that you can send to your member of Congress. We were calling it a one-pager. It's technically more than one page, so that is a little confusing to people. But think of it as a one-pager. read ahead instead of leave behind, and we are sending that's access through your e-packet, details on those issues. Also, when you get up here, and now this is happening when you get here, don't try and do this now because we don't know what will happen, but if you text Hill Visits to 30644 on your phone, you will receive the talking points and different materials, charm offensive materials for your Hill Visits. In addition to that, you'll also want to download your NAR, RPR, Congressional Maps reports. These are the reports that are created in tandem with our NAR research department. All of the statistics were updated as late as May 1st. We do get questions I see coming in here about the data and how old the data is. We run that data with the census. We have the most up-to-date data that we can provide, and all of that is ready in your FPC e-packet. And we would play this video right now, but we don't want anything to crash on our webinar, but this video is linkable and gettable within your FPC e-packet. Now, this next endeavor Helen's going to talk about is our FPC's Take to the Hill Challenge.
So you may have seen through our new branding program, we have a new commercial out that has talking about realtors going to the Hill, talking about opening doors, things like that. We would love it if you all could help us by taking videos of you going to the Hill, walking in the halls of Congress. We're going to give you a specific place you can send that, but we would love to see realtors in action. And anything you can send us along those lines when you're up here on Wednesday and Thursday, we're going to try to see if we can maybe show that during the Board of Directors meeting on that Saturday. But again, it's just one more effort to do as you're here. We'll send you an email link, I believe, of where to send everything. And we'll take your pictures, we'll take your video, walking up the steps, going to Congress, walking the halls of Congress, anything along those lines showing realtors in action. We'd love your help in sending us some clips.
We're going to, if you all have seen the consumer campaign, this is exactly what we want you all to kind of look like, mirroring these walking up the hill. Check it out.
That R stands for realtor. Realtors do more than buy and sell homes. We stand up for the property owners of today and tomorrow. That's who we are.
Perfect. So that's what we're really looking for. We want you guys to kind of mimic that with your Hill meeting materials. You'll have the folders, and you can kind of face them out. We want to stress not to take any video of members of Congress in your meeting when you are having fun with it in the halls, walking up the steps. Let's not be videoing the actual meeting, or we will spook some folks. So leave that to another time, but not bring out your iPhone during the meeting. Your political reps will be sending you information on all that will go along with that challenge here in the next few days. And now I want to turn it over to Tyann Harrison from our Communications Department to talk more about what to expect as far as what our materials will look like.
Thank you, Victoria. So as you saw in the commercial, we really want to mimic the That's Who We Are ad campaign. So the folder will look much like the folder depicted on the screen now, which is a white folder with a block R on the front. What we've done is we've included that branding of That's Who We Are inside the folder, as well as put a How Can We Help place for you to put your personal business card. NAR will not be providing you with a card. We really want to establish the FPCs as the point of contact and establish you as a reference and a valuable asset to your member of Congress. So it's a two-pocket white folder. On the left side of the pocket, you can advance, will be this great member profile. And these are just drafts of what the materials will look like. So you'll have the latest and greatest data on the overall member and commercial profile. The member profile will actually be released this year, so you'll have 2019 numbers. Aligned to how we impact the economy and consumers, and what we care about will be this green piece, which is a 11 by 20 fold-out piece that really includes the home buyer and seller's profile, economic benefits of both residential and commercial real estate, and little snippets of those priority or top issues that we're tracking. But it does really say that there are other issues that are important to us. We really want to drive people online to learn about the depth and breadth of all of our issues. We also have a lot of materials aligned to the That's Who We Are campaign in print. The cover of that insert, or the larger 11 by 20 piece, really is the block R of Washington, D.C. So you'll see the Capitol, the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial, but then you'll see the NAR building right in the middle of all of that great stuff, really, again, subconsciously saying that realtors are integral to how Washington works, especially when it comes to real estate. So if you want to advance, we talked about that. We've also worked with our conventions team to make sure that we're integrating these Hill materials into the NAR legislative mobile app. So on your phones, you simply click the Hill Visits button and you'll have access to that, or as Victoria mentioned, text Hill Visits to 30644 to get a link to your phone. But really, all of the folders with these materials in them, the FPCs will receive 2 folders, one going to the member of Congress, the other for you to keep, as well as GADs and AEs will receive those folders. We really want you to be mimicking the commercial and carrying that message and that authority to the Hill. The rest of our members attending the legislative meetings will have copies of that insert and then whatever supplemental documents that we have, and we really want to drive them online. We'll be papering the Marriott Wardman Park Hotel with those materials, so they'll be available both online and in-person hard copies. If you would like extra copies, just let us know, or feel free to download. We'll figure something out there. Your materials can be picked up on Tuesday, both at the FPC lobbyist meetings in the morning and then an FPC roundtable. We'll have a list, and we're still working through the logistics, but again, we want to make sure everyone gets 2 folders to start off with, and we can always get more materials as the week goes on. And then the GADs have their special meetings where they can pick up their folders as well as the folders for the AEs. And then we have some complimentary social media graphics, as well as the communications department is actively working to roll out the standard Facebook frames and graphics for the legislative meetings. We'll also have a lot of social media graphics and posts available for the RPAC 50th anniversary.
These are all going to be, you'll be able to find all of these on your FPCE packet as we get here a few days closer to the meeting. Get ready. Okay, we're going to talk through some do's and don'ts real quick of how to handle yourself on the Hill. Some of this is old hat to some of you, and some of you might be kind of new to this, but I want to go over a few quick things here on what legislators really want to know, and some top 10 kind of tips of the trade. Really, when you're meeting with your members of Congress, they want to know what actions you want them to take. Why do you want them to do that, and what are the local impacts and personal stories around this? Now, as we talked about before, we might not have a very specific ask of take this action like you would usually have on maybe your August recess meeting or something else of the like, but you can use this opportunity to really tell them, really build that story around home ownership and why home buying and real estate matters to the economy, and why that has a very significant local impact in your community, which you will have a lot of specific data in your RPR report and otherwise for that information. So just make sure that you have all that in your packet and really study up before you go to your Hill meeting. Now, top 10 things. I'm going to blow through these really quickly and make sure that you guys kind of keep this as a little quick in your pocket way to remember how to be when you go up to the Hill. So number 10, I thought my appointment was with the senator. You don't want to indicate that you're disappointed to be meeting with the staff person. Staff is really number one up there. They are smarter and more important than you can possibly imagine. Usually when members of Congress are about to take a vote, it's the staff that they are asking, how should I vote on this? And you need to spend a lot of time educating that staff person what to say on our issues. Make sure that you give them the respect that they deserve. Having a good relationship with staff can really make or break your cause. I can't stress that enough. You don't want to bring an entire long, huge reams of paper with you to your meeting, really having it in a clear and concise way like Tyann has talked about, meeting with your member of Congress. You really want to try and limit that material to a few pages and really easily digestible stuff for them, or they just aren't going to be reading it, or at least give them a link on the web for them to get more in-detail information if that's appropriate. You never want to talk about money when you're going up to the Hill. Please don't do it. It is not a good look. It's illegal. Really saying anything about campaign contributions or President's Circle or anything like that is really it's very gauche, as we like to say, and I hope that you all know better than that. And really, the staff person isn't going to know anyway whether or not somebody gave a contribution or anything like that. So I would not involve them. You don't want to assume that members of Congress are experts. There are thousands of bills being introduced during each Congress, and no staff person or member really is going to be able to keep them all straight. You want to provide information on the bill title or number and general provisions. We are not going to be talking about a specific bill title, but in general, you are the expert. You want to ask to be a resource. What can you do for them? Also, along the lines of appointments, you want to make sure that you have an appointment. You never want to storm down a member of Congress's door. You all might have hundreds of realtors coming from your state, and I know that they have paid a lot of money to be here and spending a lot of their volunteer time being here, but please encourage everyone to come to the pre-scheduled meeting and not just come right into a legislator's office. Be sure to coordinate with your team if you're running late or running early and communicate that to the office. You don't want several realtors coming to a certain office over and over again in a day. It really puts the staff and the member in a bad spot. No, I don't really need anything specific. This is something that we talk about sometimes. You know, you definitely want to tell them something like what we're telling them about real estate's benefit to the economy and how that really ties into your story. Just going up for a social visit, that's fine if you're having coffee or something, but really make sure that you're tying it back to realtor issues and kind of that menu of items that we're tracking and just in general what we are all about right now as realtors being advocates in the community. You don't want to have many more than 10 people in your group. It gets very crowded on Capitol Hill. Again, May meetings are a little bit different than this. Staff usually prefer a smaller meeting so you can have a really substantive conversation. Because we have so many realtors coming to the Hill, we understand when that might go a little bit over. The main point here is to make sure that the staff knows how many people are coming. If you have 20 or 30 people that you anticipate are coming, you can let the scheduler know that in advance, and just in general, as you're going through your FPC duties, you want to try and keep that meeting time to a minimum so that you can really deliver your message cogently. When you're what you're telling me can't be right. I saw it last night on the Late Show. That's not the way that we want to behave. Congressional staff or members, they're not going to lie to you. They may see things differently than you, but we want to make sure that we are never really adverse with them, and we can say, you know, we can agree to disagree, or usually we see this as an opportunity to educate a member of Congress if they don't see our side. But, you know, it's definitely something that you don't want to kind of disagree with them like that in the moment. We always get this question every year about standing in the hallway. You know, if a member or a staffer asks to meet in the hallway, it's simply an indication of space limitations. It's very tight up there. They're packed like sardines, working over each other's shoulders, and it has nothing to do with you or the credence that they're giving to the meeting or how close you are with the member of Congress. It really is just a space thing, and you can have just as substantive and effective of a meeting in the hallway as you can in the members' chambers or anything, or in a committee room or something like that. And number one, members really like to meet with their constituents. I don't think that's any secret. If you are coming up to the Hill and you are in a meeting where you are not a constituent, I would probably try and be more of a wallflower than and defer to the folks in the meeting that are either the FPC or the folks who have been designated speakers in the meeting. We definitely, members like to hear, like we've talked about, how any issue is impacting their district or their state, and when it's outside of that jurisdiction, it's really less important and somewhat a waste of their time. So those are kind of the top 10 things I would remember when you're going up there next week. As we said, don't think leave behind, think read ahead, and send those materials to your member of Congress in advance of the meeting. And then you can leave them your full, beautiful folder with all of the more detailed information that Tyann talked about when you get there on the Hill. Now, if you really want to dive in a little more into these do's and don'ts and get really in the weeds, more specific, we have printed these really nice laminated cards of do's and don'ts that are in your FPC handbook. We will also have some on hand at the FPC roundtable. They're nice and small. You can stick them in your purse and stick them in your jacket pocket so that you can kind of review those with your team members, especially if they're not used to going to the Hill. You might want to pass these around. They're downloadable through your FPC e-packet. It's a nice thing to share with people who have never been up to Washington before and don't get the benefit of webinars like this one. Now, going through the logistics of where you all need to be and when, these are the top, most important meetings. We have the Federal Legislative and Political Forum at 8 a.m. Tuesday morning in the Marriott Wardman. We are going to be hearing from former governors Haley Barbour and Terry McAuliffe, who are going to talk about sort of the inside, behind the scenes with you know, politics today, the 2020 election, and everything they kind of see going on in Washington, back in the states right now. We'll have your meetings with your lobbyists, as Helen talked about. That's when you're going to get the very latest information on it. Any of those menu of issue areas are popping, and just more specifics on our charm offensive and what to expect that day and Wednesday. Those of you who are brand new, you're going to have your final in-person training for your FPC Advocacy Academy in the Marriott Wardman right after your lobbyist meetings. So it's going to be a very busy and packed Tuesday. Then we'll have the FPC Roundtable at 1:45 with the, we're excited to welcome Congressman Josh Gottheimer of New Jersey and Congressman Tom Reed of New York. They are the leaders of the Problem Solvers Caucus, and they are going to be talking to us about how all that works, their involvement in the administration and on the Hill, and really helping to smooth the path for a lot of important issues that we care about. Bright and early, 7:30 Wednesday morning, will be our meeting with Shannon McGann and the rest of the lobbying team going through our issues. Again, this will be with a much larger group, less state-specific, FPC-specific. This is anyone and everyone can come to this. Just to reiterate, the 9:30 a.m. FPC lobbyist meetings are only for FPCs and their GADs, and that's where you're going to get your leave behind materials. The reception is 6 p.m. on Wednesday evening, and we hope you all can come and join us, celebrate your time on the Hill. You are welcome to invite your members of Congress, but please don't stress. It's very far for them to come, and many of you have your state receptions anyway that evening, but it is a really nice time for all of us to network and take a load off. With that, we move on to our town hall on May 8th. This is a 1-hour webcast where John Smaby and Shannon McGann are going to be talking with each other and Tracy Casper, leading all of the realtors that are coming in May through what to expect with our issues, our charm offensive, and the value of homeownership to the economy. It will be a nice time for more Q&A if you have any after today. And with that, thank you all very much. We are going to take some questions and hope that we answer anything that you all might have. Thanks so much. With that, I am going to take the chance and open up the lines. First, let me answer some of the questions that came over on chat. We had
Victoria, I know I saw one question that asked about where to remind again where to pick the folders up.
The folder.
It's not at the 8 a.m. on Tuesday.
It is not at the 8 a.m. It is at the 9:30 a.m. lobbyist meeting, and those are in the Marriott. That is the best place to get your folders. That is also the best place to hear about exactly what the ask may or may not be on that Tuesday morning, and also at the FPC lobbyist salon. Someone else is asking, can you go back to the, oh, great.
Here you go. Will the webcast be available afterwards if you make the May 8th 2 p.m. meeting?
Yes, it'll be available by May 9th in the morning. We'll have that posted, and we'll also be sharing that on the hub, and we can put a link in the FPC Facebook group as well.
The 9:30 a.m. lobbyist meetings are broken out by groups, correct?
Yes, they are broken out by groups. Now, these are broken out by your political representative. So you all will show up to the Marriott and go to the room that matches your state representative. Both lobbyists and political representatives will be there to answer questions and go over the talking points. The link for the e-packet is realtorparty.realtor/e-packet.
We're going to find out more information about the FPC Advocacy Academy.
Where can you find out more information about the Advocacy Academy? That is, the FPC Advocacy Academy began in January and is made up of the brand new 140 new federal political coordinators, and they have been participating in rigorous webinar training and in-person training since they joined, and will be wrapping up their training at the end of June with a final webinar. It is the onboarding process for all new FPCs that join the federal political coordinator family from now into the future. So if you'd like more information about that, you can check out realtorparty.realtor/FPC tools, and there is a section on the FPC Advocacy Academy on that website.
How long shall they plan to be at that FPC Advocacy Academy training that starts at 10:30?
Oh, the training goes from 10:30 to 12:30, and lunch is included. It's actually from 10:30 to noon, and then you can have a box lunch there or go out lunch on your own before you come to the FPC roundtable. There's exactly an hour and 15 minutes between.
This one might be for Helen. Where are we regarding flood insurance? That's a question.
Great question. So the insurance program, and I know we've talked about this after year, it is, Congress is working on reforms, trying to get a longer-term reform of 5 years, hopefully, but in the short term, the program does officially expire May 31st. We do feel, we know there's been lots of conversations, both bipartisan conversations, to try to make sure that there's at least an extension for another few months while they continue to work on reform. But that's where we are. And it'll probably be something that we highlight when you're here in 2 weeks, to remind Congress, hey, let this lapse while you're trying to figure out reforms. Thank you. Great question.
We had a question about what is there anything on Thursday in DC that you should plan to attend? There are no FPC meetings on Thursday, but a lot of times your Capitol Hill meeting is on Thursday, so please check with your state. There are a lot of state dinners and a lot of state meetings on Thursday, so just check with your state. The GAD FPC meeting is during the Academy meeting.
Their state, yeah, their state.
So if your FPC Advocacy Academy, that's fine. You can go to both or choose one or the other. That's fine. I would encourage you, if you're a brand new FPC, to go to your Academy training, honestly. Has the NAR Tax Committee come up with a recommendation that we now move away from the MID and towards a credit?
They have not. They have been studying just what other options there are in that world. I think they're going to continue to talk about it in May, but they've not come to a final decision. But it will be a conversation in our tax committee.
Perfect. Thanks, Helen. The website again is realtorparty.realtor/FPC ePacket, not ePackets. Sorry if that was a misstate, but it's not plural. It's just ePacket, no space, no dash, and that's your FPC ePacket and Bible for the May meeting. The RPR report, yes, the RPR report should be included. It is those are updated with our latest research from NAR Research. Those were updated on May 1st, so they have the most up-to-date information and statistics. You'll want to print those out and share those with your members of Congress. You can go ahead and do that with the one-pager if you'd like, or you can just bring it in your folder when you come up here to Capitol Hill. With that, I'm going to go ahead and one more question about limiting. No, you do not need to absolutely limit the number of visitors to 6. That was just, in general, when you are having a Hill meeting, it's nice to keep it small. In this particular instance, with our charm offensive, etc., we understand that there are tens of thousands of realtors that have flown all the way to D.C. to come to the Hill, and we understand when meetings are larger than the normal size. But in general, as a point of remembrance, when you're having meetings, you like to keep that number small, and just check with the staff on what number they're expecting. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, it's up to the member of Congress, because they're limited space, they might have recommendations.
Someone asked if they should print out a packet for their team members. I would highly recommend it. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, and we will answer all additional questions. We want to make sure that we are respectful of people's time on this Friday afternoon. Thank you so much for joining the NAR family for your prep webinar. We will see you today and talk to you on May 8th at Town Hall. See you in a few weeks. Thank you.